Hey everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. What we have going on today is some more McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse. We have Superboy Prime, and we have General Zod. And I have to admit, I'm pretty jazzed about getting these figures, mainly because this version of Zod, I think this is the New 52 version, no, the DC Rebirth version. This version of Zod is is my favorite version of the General from the comics. If you remember back in the late 70s, early 80s, about the time the Superman movies were coming out, General Zod back then kind of looked like M. Bison. It was kind of hysterical. It was really bad for a Kryptonian, for, like, you know, Superman's big nemesis. But this look, I absolutely love this look with the big cape, the armor, the big Z on his chest. We'll get a better look at him once we get him out of the box. And over here we have Superboy Prime from Infinite Crisis, dink dink, which I'm just amazed we got this figure. This was not something I thought would be on McFarlane Toys' radar. This is something so different from what they've done before. Mostly that these are both villains too, which is pretty impressive because they've been kind of short on the villains. And I know both of these have been out for a while, but I'm just getting to them now, and I really wanted to take a look at them. So what we have is our standard McFarland boxes, big window up front. You see the figure, you see the accessories, you can see their character card in the back, you can see their stands. Everything you get with a figure you can see through the window. On the side, we have the character's name and a side window. On this side, we have the character's name in big print, as well as where they came from. On the back, we have promotional images of both figures, that this is more than likely going to be the artwork on the character card inside as well, plus some cross-sell. And up top, we have more window. On the bottom, rubbish. So that's what we have for those. Now, full disclosure, and I want to show you this too, that this was supposed to be kind of like a Superman villain video, that I had one more I was going to show. And that was another figure that I was kind of excited about, and that was Lex Luthor in his power armor. But you can see his arm broke off. You can see right in there where the peg, let me see how I focus in. You can see in there where the peg snapped and where it should have connected right here onto his arm. So it should have been like that, but it just snapped off when I got it out of the packaging. And the only reason I'm showing you this is because I know people have said that there have been there's been quality control issues with McFarlane Toys, and I've always said, I've never seen that, I've never had a problem, blah, 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 blah. So just for full disclosure, I just wanted to show you that, yes, I finally got a McFarlane figure that kind of snapped on me right out of the box. So we're going to have to take care of that one. But now that that's out of the way, let's get these out of the box, and let's take a look at McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse, Superboy Prime, and General Zod. Alright, first we're going to take a look at Superboy Prime right here, and I like them both. I'm just looking more forward to Zod, so we're saving that one for last. Okay, out of the box we see that Superboy Prime is roughly 7 1/8 to the top of his pompadour. And then bringing him closer, first of all, let me say, this face sculpt is fantastic. He looks young, he looks angry, he looks confident, he looks like he's ready to throw down with Superman. And the face sculpt, the skin tone, the hair, everything about this is just fantastic. It looks great. This is a really, really brilliant face sculpt that they came up with. So looking at the articulation, we're going to see that this beautiful face sculpt will do a full 360. It has some tilt side to side. He can kind of look up, but this metal collar gets in the way, but he can bury the chin and look down. Now his arms are going to be hindered by a number of things. These these shoulder plates and these cables. Now the shoulder plates are actually attached to the torso piece so that the arms can come up to 90 and even flex a little bit past 90. They can do a full 360. Well, no, they can't, because you have to go to there, and then the cable starts to get in the way as well. So you're really only going to be able to get to about there going forward, and there coming around back. All right. Now it does have the butterfly joint with some really insane travel underneath there. He has bicep swivel that once again will be limited by the power cables here. He has double jointed elbows with some really great range to them. He has the swivel hinge swivel wrists, that the wrists will go around and they'll go up and down, and then you can do that and you can do that, and they'll come in and out. Now looking at the torso, get your arms out of the way, Clark. Looking at the torso, he does have that ab cut where he has a twist. And I don't know if you can hear that. He can crunch back a little bit. He can crunch forward a little bit. But there's also a ball joint at the waist here, so the waist will turn as well. And using the two in tandem, he can really crank back. And he can really lean forward. And there's also some side to side going on right here too. Now we come down to the legs, and the legs do have that thigh swivel in there. It's not great. This isn't one of the better ones that they've done, but it is there. The legs will come up. The legs will go back. And the legs will come up to the side. You can get to 90, but they're going to be weighed down and bend down a little bit. The trunks, like we've been seeing, is a very soft rubber, so it does get out of the way when you lift the legs, but you just want to be careful that you don't warp that out of shape. You don't hold pose on it too long so that it becomes deformed, and you also want to make sure that that doesn't rip. That it looks like the trunks are already starting to bunch up on one side here. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but yeah, no, it definitely looks like, bring that leg up. I don't know, maybe it's not even cut right, or it's not cut even, maybe. There we go. I think it was tucked up underneath there. He has double jointed knees with some decent travel. Can't get all the way back in on himself, mainly because of these boots and the power cables. And then ankles rock back, ankles rock forward, forward facing pin for some rock, and our toe articulation. Now, I do think this is a great look for Superboy Prime. And before anybody says, yes, I know I said it's kind of a villain set tonight. And I do know that in the end, Superboy Prime redeemed himself. But come on, he was a big hassle in Infinite Crisis before he had, like, his turn back to the light. But this look is fantastic, and I really loved when he came out wearing this armor that was very reminiscent of the Anti-Monitor. When he came out wearing that, I thought they were really going to do something great with him, until they said that this is basically all just solar panels, and it's absorbing sunlight, and it's just enhancing his strength. And that was really all it did, and that was kind of disappointing. I like a few that I know, thought that they were going to turn Superboy Prime into the new Anti-Monitor, or they were going to do a Monarch type thing, that it turned out he was the Anti-Monitor all along, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly. But just finding out that those are just solar panels was kind of a disappointment. I love the big red S with the black background. Like, the red really stands out on that black, and I dig this blue, this deep, rich blue, and all of this silver paint here. This bright silver has a little bit of a burnish to it. It looks weathered, looks beaten, looks like it went a few rounds with Clark. I really dig that. The only thing that really upsets me about this figure, well, there's two things that annoy me, but only one of those two things really upsets me. The first thing that annoys me is he got the side eye going on. And I'm not going to spend much time harping about that, because we all know how bad the side eye is, but we also know that by this time, Todd has changed his mind on that. He said I believe he said it didn't work out the way he thought it was going to, so we're not going to get this side eye anymore. So there's no sense in getting upset about that. The second thing that annoys me and I'm curious about is these are the only hands that he comes with. And now I get that these open hands are great for flying, or even if you got a Superman that has some of those, you could do, like, the whole test of strength thing with him, like leaning into him. But he punched the source wall. He punched the source wall and he broke reality. Give the boy some fists. Superboy Prime doesn't have any accessories, but he does have the pack-ins that all of the Multiverse figures comes with, and one of those is his character card here, and there we have the image that we saw on the back of the box, and he has a bio back here. And like all Multiverse figures, actually like all McFarlane figures, he does come with a stand. In this case, we get a flight stand with him, which is cool. I'm glad to see that. Sometimes I wonder what the criteria is for whether they get a flight stand or whether they get a pegged stand. Because we've gotten a few figures that I thought, that guy should have had a flight stand. Especially Zod coming up. I don't think he has a flight stand. I think he has a regular one. And now, speaking of the General... All right, here he is, General Zod out of the box. And man, do I love this figure. But but there are some quality control issues with this one as well. Not nearly what we had with Lex at the beginning of the video, but we'll take a look at those as soon as we put the tape measure to him. And standing Zod up next to the tape measure, we see that, much like Superboy Prime, he comes in at roughly 7 1/8 inches tall. Okay, so the first thing we're going to take a look at is those quality control issues that I told you about. And it's nothing with the paint so much, it's nothing with the sculpt, it's nothing with limbs coming off. It's glue, of all things. First of all, when I pulled him out of the package and I was playing with his hair is coming up off of his skull. And it's not that I pulled too hard like I did with Joker in the Dark Knight Returns set. It's just that there's no glue right there. So I'm going to have to get some super glue or something and put a little dab right in there just to hold his hair down. The second issue we have with the glue is this shoulder pad keeps coming out. Now you can see the trenching where it's supposed to be glued in place, because you can see the pegs there, you can see the trenching there, but there's not even any dried glue in there. I don't think this was ever glued. I think it was just set in there and pressed. Whoop, sliding too far. Set in there and pressed, and then the weight of his cape was holding it down. So, gonna have to get out the super glue, gonna have to get out the Craggle, dip some in there, dip some up there, and just seal our Zod up. But now let's just take a look at the magnificence of General Zod. Holy cow, look at this guy. I freaking love this guy. First of all, it's definitely like a face sculpt night, because that is a fantastic face sculpt for our Zod. That's very powerful, that's very imposing. It's kind of belittling. He has this fabulous beard going on right here, this windswept hair. This is a fantastic look for Zod, and his eyes are looking straight ahead. I think my eyes have been painted a little wonky. I think this one is a little bit open more, or this one is squinting. Or maybe he's just supposed to be giving you the evil eye. I don't know, but I'm not going to let that bother me because everything else looks fantastic. Now, coming down to the armor, of course, we have the giant Z on his chest for the House of Zod. Look at the armor. Look at it. Look at the silver. Look at the burnishness to it. It gets a little bland right in here, but that's not his fault. That's really the design, but I love the texturing on the bodysuit as well. I always love how there's never really just smooth bodysuit with McFarlane. There's always some sort of texturing or design. The intricacy of the armor and the torso, I love the gold coming up off of the cape. I love the way the cape is just bunched around his neck. Now, it is glued in place, so you can't really take the cape off. The cape is glued, plus we have it glued into a back peg. Is that glued? Yeah, I think it is. I'm not going to try. Don't want to rip it apart. And then we have the symbol of the House of Zod on the side here, which you can see there's some paint thinning right there on the shoulder as well. I love how the cape like drapes up over his shoulder, how it drapes over this armored shoulder. I love the whole look of this, and of course he has the armored collar on underneath there. And then we come down to the boots and the knee pads, the silvering of the boots. Everything looks fantastic, along with the texturing of the cape and just the flow of it. And I love how it kind of like bunches up at the shoulders right here, looking very rich, very lush, very just, oh, it's so Zod, and I freaking love it. Okay, now working on the articulation, we can see that Zod gets some pretty good head tilt going on. He can do a full 360 spin. He can't really look up, which is a bit of a shame. It's getting caught between his hair and this back collar here. But if you finagle it, that's really all he can get. But he can look down, he can bury the chin. Now his arms, the arm over here, between the cape and the shoulder pad, can get up just under 90. This one, I'm not sure what the actual resistance restraint is going to be, because the shoulder pad, like I said, isn't glued on. With the shoulder pad, then it keeps coming off, he can get up to 90, but once it's actually glued on there and stuck on there, I don't think he's going to be able... Oh, it's giving me such a hard time. I should just do it now. I don't think he's going to be able to get it up fully to 90 once that's glued in there. Now, he does have the butterfly joint in there. This arm can do a full 360. Obviously, this one will not, because of the restraints of the cape. He has the bicep swivel. He has double jointed elbows with some decent travel to them. Now he does have this swivel hinge swivel of the wrist that they'll come in and out. Oh, just popped it off. They'll swivel around, and then you can bring it in and turn it and then sort of get it to go up and down. But we've seen this before on some McFarlane figures as well, that these bracers that he's wearing just come too far up on the wrist that you really can't get any decent wrist travel out of him, which for Zod, it's not going to be that big of a deal because he's pretty much going to be punching or eye lasering people through the whole thing. Now, he does have the ab cut, so he can turn at the abs. He can lean forward. He can lean back, not too much, but also like Superboy Prime, he has this ball joint at the waist, so the waist will twist as well. And he can really crank back. He can really crank forward. And he gets some decent side-to-side rock going on. Now looking at the legs will go the legs will go forward. The legs will go back. The legs will really come out to the side. Like Superboy Prime, he has these very rubbery trunks, so you can see they kind of conform to the shape of the leg. But once again, watch out for those deforming or drying out and ripping. He has some decent travel with his double-jointed knees. And ankle rocks back. Ankle rocks forward. Forward-facing pin for some rocker. And toe articulation. And while we're down here at the boots, when we were looking at the sculpt of the boots, dig that sculpt. Love that sculpt. Notice there's some texturing in the calf right there too that I forgot. He does have some tread on the bottom. Zod comes with a pair of gripping hands, but he doesn't have anything to grip. He also comes with a pair of mwahaha, behold my evil scheme hands. And unlike Superboy Prime, he does come with a pair of clenched fists. And now for size comparison, here is Zod and Superboy Prime with the Crime Syndicate Ultraman and the Action Comics 1000 Superman. I really like this. This all looks good. They all scale together well. I mean, that's a whole lot of Kryptonian standing there. And yes, I'm aware Superboy Prime is not really Kryptonian, just saying. But that looks really good. Now all we need is Kara. Like, really, I would love to have Supergirl at this point. Here they are with Marvel Hasbro Legends, Captain Marvel, and Binary. And here they are with NECA Toys, Defenders of the Earth, Ming the Merciless, and Flash Gordon. And I'm also going to take this time to mention that their capes are really heavy. And it's hard for them to balance when they're not on their figure stand. And the reason I'm saying that now is because I just knocked Zod over, and it took me 10 minutes too long to try and get him to stand back up and not fall over again. I like these figures. I know it's not exactly a bold thing to say, but I like them. I like the sculpt. I like the color. I like that we have them. As I said before, I'm not surprised that we got Zod, but Superboy Prime, this version of Superboy Prime, I'm genuinely surprised that we got it, but I love that we got it. I love that we're starting to be able to fill out our Superman display. We've had multiple Supermans, and now it's good to see that we have some figures to put with our Superman. We have Zod, we have Superboy Prime, we have Lex. And I am upset about Lex. I wish I could have shown you Lex. I'm very upset about the quality control that Lex's arm just broke off. I'm also upset about the having to glue Zod down. His hair wasn't a problem, but that shoulder pad, oh man, that shoulder pad without being glued down, every time I was trying to move him or pose him, that pad kept falling out. So that's definitely going to get glued back in place. Something else that I really like about these, and it's sort of been a trend with the newer McFarlane figures, is that the limbs are starting to move easier. The detents aren't as tight. The legs aren't as tight. Things have greater range of motion. He's really been working on the articulation. You can tell he's been working on it. It's not perfect yet, but it's definitely getting better. It is noticeably better than when the figures first started, when DC Multiverse first started. Some other things for our Superman display I would love to see would be the Eradicator, the Death of Superman Superboy, or even just like, you know, the Connor Kent in the jeans and the black t-shirt with the big S on it. That would be kind of cool, actually. I would love to see Henshaw, the Cyborg Superman, and I'm actually kind of surprised he hasn't done it yet, considering Todd seems to really love cyborgs. And of course we need Supergirl, we need Kara, and we need Power Girl. And it would be really, really cool if with one of those figures coming down the line, we got like a little Crypto as a pack-in with one of the figures. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video. Thank you for taking the time to spend some time with me. Thank you for taking the time to check out these figures. Let me know what you think. And until next time, my friends, play well, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.